Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me once again. Just trying to find a space where there's decent enough light so you can see what I'm doing. As you can see, the sun just over here is very bright and very low on the horizon because it is still February, of course. So we've got this very harsh light that's causing some very interesting scenes. And behind me, if I swing round, I've got a series of silver birch trees just here, which I really like the look of, and the sunlight just landing on those looks perfect. It gives me a very interesting shot. So I've set up a shot and taken that one, but also while I'm standing here I've also got this tree just here behind me, and then a little way over here there are 2 or 3 other trees just in the distance there, which look from here as though they're going to be very interesting as well and make a nice composition. I've shot one of those before a couple of times from different angles, but I think I can make a composition now with the light the way it is with 2 of those trees further over there. But I've also noticed as I turn around a little bit further from these silver birch trees, just up in this direction slightly, you can see some more trees with beautiful sunlight just bouncing off them. So I think I've probably got about 3 or 4 decent compositions just in this area without even moving very far to capture those images. So I'm going to set up and take a few shots here, and then I'll talk to you again in just a moment when I've decided on what my shots are going to be. So I've walked about 15 yards from where I last was to take my first 2 shots, but where I'm standing now the light is slightly better on the trees that I'm photographing here, and because of that there's less dynamic range, so I can afford to just simply focus at this image here. But with the first image, because of the high dynamic range due to that very strong sun and a lot of light just, like I say, 15 yards away, it meant that I had to bracket my exposures so that I can make the most of that dynamic range, make sure I bring out shadow detail as well as highlight detail in the image. So I hope you like those 2 images. I'm going to make a move back the way I've just come from and see if I can capture those other 2 shots that I was thinking about, and then I'll see if I can move on somewhere and see if I can find something else. So with those 2 shots I had to exposure bracket one of them because obviously once again the dynamic range caused by that beautiful low sunshine at the moment was affecting how the light was looking on the image, so it had to be exposure bracketed. But the other one of the images I was able to get away with just taking 1 shot of it because by that point I was in the shade underneath the canopy of all those trees, and it meant that there was a lot less light getting in and a lot less dynamic range to be concerned about. So hopefully those have worked out, and I hope you like those 2 images too. I found another tree here that I'd like to photograph, and again it's one I've photographed before. It's that one just there, and the light's just working perfectly on that tree and kind of almost silhouetting the tree against the sunlight. I'll have a proper look at it and see if I can find a decent composition of it in this light. So I think that's going to be the next shot, and I'm going to set up here to take that now. Now I don't know if you noticed that the limb of that tree is quite close to the ground, and I don't know if you've also noticed that the shadow of this tree is leading from almost from me right towards the tree itself. Now that obviously makes a great leading line, but with the limb quite close to the ground I've had to set up my tripod and keep that quite close to the ground as well, so I can make a feature of this limb and the stump of the tree But also what I've noticed is there's quite a lot of dynamic range here again because of the sunlight, so I've positioned myself just in the lee of this shadow here so that I can create the image. And then I'm shooting with an f/16 aperture and exposure bracketing, so I've got 3 separate exposures, all at f/16. But what I've done here is I've shot one at 1/8 of a second, one at a 15th of a second, and one, I believe, at a 1/4 of a second. And hopefully with that f/16 aperture on top of that, I can create kind of a sunburst effect from the sun behind the tree. That's the idea anyway. So I hope you like this image, and I think I'm going to move on and see if I can find possibly one last image before I finish this vlog. So no composition here, I'm afraid. Apologies for that. I walk along this path quite often as I'm just entering the park here, and it's only just a few yards in from the entrance to the woodland, and there's this little group of trees just here. And every now and then as you walk past, I tend to find there's really interesting light on those trees, and I've often thought one day I'm going to stop there and capture an image. And I was hoping to be able to do that today, but obviously with the sun virtually right behind those trees, there's no light at all on the front of them, so I can't get the image that I was hoping to get, one that I've seen many times before as I'm walking through this area. So sorry about that, no more images for today. I just want to make one quick note as well just before I leave. I want to remind you that with landscape photography, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Now repeat that after me. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Let me explain that one to you. I recently bought a new pair of walking boots. The ones I've been using, I found they were getting slightly worn. I only discovered it because my last 2 vlogs that I've done, I've returned home and found that I've stepped in dog shit somewhere along the way, and it's meant that I've spent half an hour at a time each time trying to clean that mess off my shoes rather than take it into the house. So I've bought a new pair of shoes, walking boots, because the ones I'd got were starting to get worn, and I noticed that from cleaning them obviously. But also on my last vlog my battery ran out of power, and I thought that I'd charged all of the other batteries. Tried the other batteries and none of them had got enough power in them at all. One of them just had just about enough, about 12 to 15 minutes of power left, so I could finish the vlog that I was in the middle of at the time. But also today I've noticed that my memory card was close to being full. Luckily I've got another memory card in my bag, so the memory card has just this minute run out. Which was quite amazing really, because I've managed to get quite a lot done with a very small amount of memory that I didn't think I'd get this much done at all. Anyway, I've swapped over my memory cards, and again that's an example of good preparation. Making sure I have a memory card, making sure I've got decent walking boots to walk in while I'm out and about, and also making sure I understand the conditions. In today's case it's been the lighting, the sun on the trees. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's vlog. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and also remember to subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.